Did that not play? Okay. I clicked something that didn't play, apparently. It's Brad with College SportsCast. We're here to kind of do a big fuss game day pick'em combo show, but tonight March Madness begins.
Can I please have your attention? There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
All right, guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. We are here to talk all things March Madness. Tonight, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk women's and men's March Madness tonight. Before we get started, if you're on Facebook, you can help support us. We would appreciate that by sending stars, or you can subscribe to our page. It's only 99 cents a month. And it does help us to earn some money to keep making content for you guys. If you subscribe, you do get your own chat for subscribers and your own page for subscribers. All right, John. March Madness actually begins tonight. It's one game in. And we got a buzzer beater already.
And already a buzzer beater. Like, the most undefeated season of the year just continues to impress. I've said it since day one. It's the best sport out there. This is just a prerequisite for what's about to take place in the next couple of days.
First game, first buzzer beater tonight.
Same. Now Alabama State will move on to face Auburn and Lexington. They'll drive probably 2.5 hours to face probably one of the best teams in the country. You get a date with Auburn. I mean, it is.
Congratulations. You get a date with Auburn.
You do, unfortunately. So,
all right.
Great win for them, though. Great win for them, though. I mean, it is. It's a big deal to those 16 seeds when they get a chance to play in a play. It
is, game. And I still don't fully agree with the 16 seeds being in the play-in games. To be honest with you, I think a lot of those teams that won their conference tournament should have a locked-in space already. To be quite honest, you won your conference tournament and you're in the field, you should be in the field and not in a playing game. But that's part of what I have an issue with some of the stuff that goes on. But, John, I want to talk about, so all the bracketology stuff, and everybody always talks about bracketology this and bracketology that, and we know a bunch of bracketologists, and they're all the time making posts and they're doing things. But I got to give a huge shout out to ESPN's Charlie Cream, who does the bracketology for the women. And he hit 68 out of 68 teams. His last four was in order, got them exactly right. And his last four out, our first four out, was exactly right and in order. I mean, you can't get much better than what Charlie Cream does doing the women's.
No, I've always said doing bracketology is probably one of the toughest things to do. You got to go through numbers. You got to go through stats. You got to go through each seeding line, who did what. It's one of the hardest jobs in college basketball, trying to predict who's going to get in the tournament and who's not. And we talk to them daily, NKY, T3, the job that they put in, it's incredible. JBR, 801, it's incredible. I mean, to see what they have to do to get all these teams right and get them, and not necessarily get them on each seed line right, but how to predict the teams. And
I just think it's interesting, John, because you look at Joe Lenardi for ESPN, okay, and then you look at what Charlie Cream does for ESPN. This is men's versus women's game. Now, I will give you that.
A little different.
But I'm going to tell you, Charlie Cream does an absolute amazing job. He was on the Selection Sunday show for ESPN, and he absolutely hits the nail on the head. I mean, he gets the only thing that he missed at all was like a seeding from 1 to like Kentucky. He had a 3 and they were a 4. But like I said, he got all 68 teams. He got the 4 in order of the last 4 in, and he got the 4 in order of the first 4 out.
Well, here's the thing about that. You're going to miss out on some teams. Last 4 in, the men's, there was a few that missed the mark on that. You're going to miss teams. It's just the way it is in college basketball. You're not going to get every team right. You're not going to get every seed line right. You just have to predict it to what you've seen through the course of the regular season and kind of go by what the committee is going to do. And I think some of them got right. Now, T3, I wasn't for sure, but I think he got 66 or 68.
Yeah, it was 68.
So it's tough to do, and I applaud them for what they had to do because that's a hard job.
Well, the men's is a little different, and I'm going to dig into the men's when we go through some of the issues here with the men's. But I was trying to start out with the women's stuff, and I just had to give a huge shout-out to the job that Charlie Cream does for ESPN.
Yeah, he does a really good job for the girls. Yeah.
All right, on the women's side, well, I don't have that right. Hang on, I thought I had the number in there, but apparently it got erased. Hang on, let me try something else.
What's up, Chris? How's it going, brother?
All right, so on the women's side, the Big Ten got 12 teams in. The SEC got 10. The ACC got 8. The Big 12 got 7. The Ivy League, for the first time ever, got to give a shout out to the Ivy League for getting 3 teams into the big dance. Harvard, Columbia, and Princeton are all in. Princeton got in a play-in game, but they are in. Huge shout out to the Ivy League. You don't see that a lot. It's the first time ever in the women's game as well. So you got to give them a shout out. The Atlantic 10 got 2 and the Big East got 2. And those were the conferences that got multiple bids on the women's side. And we'll kind of dig in. I'll see if John has the list for the men's. I know we'll do that here in just a minute. But John, the SEC 10, the Big Ten 12, ACC 8, they kind of lead the pack on the women's side.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy dominant with the Power 5 schools, with SEC, ACC, Big 12. What's interesting to me is the Big East. You had what? UConn and Creighton, I think.
And Creighton, that's it.
Creighton was
UConn and Creighton, that's it.
That's been a league dominated mostly by UConn the last 10, 15 years. Then the A10 got 2. The Ivy League was impressive because normally on the men's side.
The Ivy League is impressive.
The Ivy League, normally on the men's side, you only get 1 team usually in the field. So big opportunity for the SEC to compete along with the men too, where they had 14 teams in to show themselves out and prove themselves worthy in this tournament. Getting the 12 in the Big Ten was impressive too.
So there's 5. There's 5 of the 10 in the SEC are hosting. Hosting is a top 4 seed in the women's. There's 5, and then there's 3 5 seeds. Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Alabama all were 5 seeds.
an Ole Miss game has a chance to be a upset special. I mentioned to you that last night. That's one of those games where Ole Miss is going to have to come prepared to play.
Yeah. All right, John. I want to ask you: did you see any seeding issues on the women's side? Did you see
Not
any
really.
issues with the bracket or anything that you wanted to talk about
I think
tonight or anything?
I think you could have switched up Oklahoma and Kentucky,
Yeah.
3 and 4 seeds.
I was surprised that Notre Dame fell to a 3 seed. My
Yeah,
biggest surprise was probably Notre Dame.
the biggest surprise to me was Tennessee being a 5. I thought, they lost a bunch down the stretch. Now, granted,
They did. They
Kim
could have been a
Caldwell,
6. I think Tennessee could have been a 6.
the thing about Kim Caldwell, she brought in a really good team. They play really high pressure offense, defense. They got Talasia Cooper that's playing really, really well for them. I think they tied with Vanderbilt for 8th in the SEC. And to me, I just felt like they got tired towards the end of the year.
But Vanderbilt got a 7 seed,
and
Tennessee got a 5.
But there were some really good highlights, in Tennessee's season. They beat UConn in the non-con at home, which was a really big win for Tennessee. So maybe a win like that probably propelled them onto the 5 line. So overall, not really much in terms of seeding wise that I thought was really out of the ordinary.
All right. So quickly, we'll move on to our men's college basketball bracketology. We've kind of already touched on that. It's tough. It's a lot more tough in the men's. And the reason why I think is because you got stuff that goes on in my next topic that I'm going to get to that just honestly, it reeks, to be honest. I've got a couple of things here that I'm going to talk about. And it's hard to hit these teams when they're putting teams in that shouldn't be there. Let's just be honest. You got T3 that does awesome work and awesome job. And, he gets 66 out of 68, which is a 94% or something like that. It's a good percentage. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not. But when they're putting a couple of teams in that really shouldn't be there, or at least one, it's hard to hit all 68 teams when it comes to bracketology. You're muted.
And the one you're probably talking about is North Carolina. They got one quad 1 win. Now Xavier had 2. You could probably put a couple more teams in front of them. Brad, overall, just to me, the bubble was just really, really bad this year. There wasn't a lot of great teams on that bubble. You had Boise State that could have probably been in over North Carolina. You had Texas, which got in probably at the last minute for a playing game, which they play Xavier tomorrow night in the playing game. You got North Carolina getting ready to play right now against San Diego State. Just tough, man. It's tough to be in that room and have to decide that. I would not want to be that person, have to decide who gets in.
Let me get to this, because I'm going to be honest with you, John. I think this is an absolute horrible look for the selection committee, for the chair, for the committee, for all of it. It's an absolute travesty look, to be honest with you. And I'm going to dig into this. Okay. So North Carolina, their AD was the chair on this committee. Okay. Now, not only, during the thing, he claims he was out of the room, blah, blah, blah. He claims all this. They're 1-12 in quad 1 games. West Virginia, who most people had as a 10 seed, by the way, and not even on the 11 line in bracketology, had 6 quad 1 wins. They were 6-10. North Carolina is 1-12. Just throw that out. But here is the real kicker. And John, I don't know if you've seen this today, but here's the real kicker of exactly just how terrible this is that North Carolina got in. That AD that I was talking about, that was the chair of this committee, in his contract, if North Carolina makes the field, he gets a $68,000 bonus. I don't know about you guys, but that's a clear incentive to put them in the field, is it not? He's the chair of the damn committee. Nobody thought they should be in. Nobody. And he gets a $68,000 bonus for them making the field? John, that reeks. Does it not reek? That reeks.
It does, but honestly, Brad, there's really nothing. That's sort of like West Virginia with the governor going after the NCAA. There's not really much they can do.
But I'm gonna tell you, the court system has favored, not favored the NCAA of these schools in a lot of things. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when you can go and say it's in his contract, you can look it up. This dude gets a $68,000 bonus.
Yeah, it reeks
for North Carolina making the field.
It does. But that's, we could sit and have this
I'm
topic.
I'm gonna start calling it the Bubba bonus because the dude's name is Bubba.
You could probably sit and have this conversation for hours and not even get anywhere because it's really not going to do any good, Brad. North Carolina's in, they're playing.
It's ugly. I'm telling you, though, it's ugly. It's absolute ugliness.
It is. I will agree with you. So
I'm just saying. And the last thing I'm going to say about North Carolina tonight is, John, on the bright side, they get another chance at a quad 2 win tonight.
Yep.
Oh, me. They could get another quad 2 win tonight, John, in the bracket. I had to throw the joke in, man. Had to.
Yeah, I want to be the one to talk about this real quick.
Auburn gets the number 1 seed. But my question to you, John, is it really an advantage to get the number 1 seed and have to play Louisville in Lexington?
I don't think it's right. I think, you got a school, 60 miles down the road. They're basically going to be all red. And they're going to get to play at Rupp against the number 1 overall seed. I think it's a little bit of a travesty.
If you're the number 1 seed,
and I'll tell you something else that I think,
kind of advantage.
And I'll tell you something else I think is a tragedy. And I'm not a big Louisville fan, but them being an 8 seed is absolutely asinine. I know that.
I agree with that as well.
Now, I will say this. Louisville did not play in the best conference all year in the ACC. The whole year, the conference was more or less Duke and them. And Louisville did not have a lot of time to pick up quad 1 wins. And that's not on them. Now, they won some games in the non-con. I thought that they should have picked up. They had games against Kentucky, lost to Oklahoma. There were some games earlier they could have won that could have kind of swayed their seeding. But when it all boils down to it, I think Louisville should at least been a 7 or a 6 instead of getting pitted in an 8 seed against the number 1 overall seed. And now you got Auburn on the other spectrum of this.
But if you seeded them right, they wouldn't be matched up with Auburn.
No.
So that would fix both issues. if you seeded
Yeah,
Louisville right.
That's the thing that really bothers me about the whole Louisville thing is they're an 8 seed playing a Creighton team that's really, really good, but you got to beat most of the teams that you get in there with against anyways.
It's kind of about their net ranking and not the AP ranking or the
now they
that
play,
kind of stuff.
And now they kind of play Auburn and basically Louisville's backyard, 60 miles away from Rupp, against the Auburn team that has struggled a little bit. And Auburn has not been playing really great lately. And you put them up against the
all right, so
Louisville fans in their backyard and a home court advantage.
It's not right, man. I'm telling you.
It's
worse
not fair.
seeding issues. I think Louisville has a severe case of one of the worst seeding issues in this bracket. I'll be honest with you. I feel like they do. I think Oklahoma being a 9 and jumping. Let me think. Who's down? Arkansas,
really
Tennessee, or Arkansas, Vanderbilt.
I'm really surprised that Arkansas was a 10 instead of Louisville. I like Arkansas should have been in that 8 range instead of Louisville. Louisville should at least have been a 10 in that game, I think. But when you look at it, you got to beat the teams you got to beat to get in there. So you just got to play the games, lace them up, and get ready to go. Ain't nothing you can do about it now. Now, I will say, Brad, a team that I thought got the biggest shaft was Missouri. Playing Drake. Drake's been really, really good. The last, month and a half, almost all year. And you're a 6 seed and you draw the 11 seed Drake.
So I don't.
That's tough.
I had some connection issues there. I say no to expansion.
No. I don't.
1 and 12 is not good enough, man. I'm telling you.
That's not even a clear question about expansion. Next question.
I mean, honestly, I think it's an absolute no. Quality wins have to mean more. If you're going to have the quads, quad 1 wins has to mean more.
Yeah,
having
especially
6 compared to 1 absolutely has to mean more.
Especially road wins early in the year, neutral court games. Those have to mean a lot more when it comes down to Selection Sunday. The whole North Carolina thing was kind of brought up today. It was based on metrics instead of quad 1 wins, which North Carolina had really good metrics. But when you don't beat quality teams, you don't deserve to be there.
Playing quality teams means something too. But just as much as playing quad 1 games, if you're going to say playing quality teams means something, then you at least got to beat some of them.
Yeah, you got to at least win a few of them at least. Yeah.
You got to beat some of them. You can't be 1 and 12. I mean, that's just absolutely asinine to me.
Well, to be fair,
it definitely has to mean more.
Xavier only won 2 too. So to be fair, they was another
they
one.
They were 2 and 9.
So,
but that's what I said. There was a couple of teams that, in my opinion, did not deserve to be there.
But
West
to be
Virginia
fair,
was 6 and 10.
To be fair to Xavier did have wins over UConn and Marquette, maybe Creighton, which were better wins than what North Carolina had, which was a neutral site win over UCLA early December. So
North Carolina, John, if you look at even their quad 2 wins, it's over teams that's not even in this field, most of them.
Wake,
Go look it up. Even their quad 2 wins are against teams that's not in this field.
Yeah.
Most of them. So that's where I'll leave that. All right, John, we're going to get back to the girls and get back to the women's side of things. We're going to talk about Birmingham 2, which is the name of one of the regions. You got South Carolina, Tennessee Tech. I'm assuming you're going to go South Carolina here.
Yeah, I'm going South Carolina there.
All right, 8-9 is Utah, Indiana.
I like Indiana in that game.
I kind of think I'm going to go Indiana. 5-12 is Alabama, Green Bay.
That's a tough game for Alabama. Green Bay is really, really good. But I think I'm going to stick with Alabama here. I think they win that game.
All right. 4 seed is Maryland versus 13 Norfolk State. Maryland's had a pretty good season.
I think I'm going to go Maryland. Maryland's had a pretty good year. They're playing really good right now.
3 seed is North Carolina versus 14 Oregon State.
I think I'll take North Carolina in that one. Oregon State lost a lot from a year ago.
Hey, man, you got to give that coach all. They lost 9 players out of the transfer portal because the Big 12 or because the Pac-12 fell apart.
Still got to the tournament. That's impressive.
And still got to the dance in the WCC. I mean, amazing job by that dude. Seriously. But I agree with all of those so far. 7 seed Vandy versus 10 Oregon. That's kind of a toss-up game.
I think I'll take Michaela Blake. So I think she's going to show out in this tournament.
That's kind of where I've been leaning here is Vandy in this one. And then we got Duke versus Lehigh. That's
like
the 215.
I like Carol Lawson's done a really good job with this Duke team. I think Duke wins this game.
All right, John. So that means if we're going to go ahead and do the weekend games, the second round games, that means we've got Duke versus Vandy. In that lower tier, that's a 7 versus 2.
I think I got Duke going to the Sweet 16.
Okay. All right. I skipped one. The one we didn't do is West Virginia. And West Virginia is going to be playing the play-in game. Trying to see. I don't have it on here. It don't even say who the play-in game is. Anyway, it's a 6 seed. I'll call them the win because I don't see the play-in game. All right, so North Carolina versus West Virginia, 3-6.
I'm going to take Carolina to get to the Sweet 16.
All right, Alabama versus Maryland, 4-5.
I think I'm going to take Maryland in that game.
All right, and then Indiana versus South Carolina, 1-9.
South Carolina. South Carolina's probably my pick to win the whole thing. So,
yeah,
they're playing really, really good right now.
Look at Shane coming in here on all the picks. Go Shane. All right, so that gets the early rounds for Birmingham 2. Then we're going to move, John, to Birmingham 3. We've got Texas versus the play-in game is the 1-16.
I'll take Texas.
Illinois Creighton is the 8-9.
I think I'll take Illinois here.
Big 10 versus Big East.
Illinois has played up and down all year, but I think they got a shot here in this game against Creighton.
Yeah, I kind of think Illinois will win that one as well. Tennessee versus South Florida is a 5-12 in this one.
I think I'll take Tennessee here. They're 19-point favorites. I like Tennessee here. Now, as far as getting
All right.
beyond there, I'm kind of weary on Tennessee right now. On the women's
Yeah,
side.
so the next game, they're playing in Columbus, Ohio, and they're in the Ohio State bracket.
Yeah,
The next game would be the next one will be 4-13 Ohio State versus Montana State.
I got Ohio State. I think they win that game.
All right. Michigan is in the play-in game, and again, my little brackets here does not have who the
I'm taking Notre Dame. I'm taking Notre Dame in this bracket.
Yeah. So you got Michigan out. That's who I think. And then you got Notre Dame, Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah, and I think Louisville plays Nebraska.
Louisville and Nebraska.
I think I'm gonna take Louisville. I think I'll take Louisville here.
So the interesting thing at the bottom here, if you take Louisville and TCU, you got Haley Van Lith playing against Louisville and Jeff Walls.
That's going to be something.
That's the interesting thing here at the bottom of this bracket. Round 2 could be Jeff Walls and Louisville versus Haley Van Lith and TCU. TCU's had one heck of a season, over 30 wins. I know for me, I'm taking TCU over Louisville.
Yeah, I'm taking TCU. Yeah.
Notre Dame versus Michigan.
I got Notre Dame.
Ohio State, Tennessee.
Ohio State. I think the home court advantage in Columbus is going to be a difference.
And then Illinois, Texas.
I'm going to take Texas. Now, I will say Texas is the 1-1 seed that is vulnerable because their offense can go in spurts where they can't score, but their defense is going to be a major player in this tournament. Though they play really good defense.
The Haley Van Lith game
and Booker and those girls, they're pretty good defensively.
Yeah, Texas. I'm going to go Texas in the Sweet 16 here as well. All right, we're going to go Spokane 1 on the women's side.
Yep.
Spokane 1 is UCLA versus the 16. UCLA is
UCLA wins that one.
Yeah. 8-9 is Richmond versus Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. I think they got a shot here to win this game.
All right. The 5-12 is Ole Miss versus Ball State.
That's where I said this could get kind of jibbly. Ball State's pretty good. Done really good in the MAC. I think I'm gonna pull the upset here, Brad. I think they pull the upset over Ole Miss.
Shane says Ole Miss. Listen, this Ole Miss team is hit or miss. When they are playing good, they can beat. And they played right with Texas.
The next game is where I might be picking Molly Miller.
That could be a good one. So you got a possible upset in the next game. You got 4 Baylor versus 12 Grand Canyon. Molly Miller is 30-2, I think, or 32.
Yeah, she's a good coach, and she's been brought up in jobs at Arkansas and Arizona State. She's a hot commodity when it comes to coaching.
I'm going to say Ole Miss, Shane.
I think I'm going to take Grand Canyon here, Brad. I'm not going to go chalk like most people do. I'm going to pick some upsets.
Man, Baylor's played so well down the stretch. I've got to go the Baylor Bears. But I love the Molly Miller here as a coach. She is not going to be at Grand Canyon very much longer. She is a hot commodity. Arkansas and Arizona State are after her right now. She will not be there after she loses out for very long. Let's just put it that way. The next one is Florida State versus George Mason. That is a 6-11.
I got Florida State with Flatson. I think, she can score with anybody in the country. She's one of the top scorers in the nation. Give me FSU in the George Mason game.
All right. The 3-14 is LSU versus San Diego State.
I think I'll take LSU here.
If LSU's healthy, they could get out of this bracket, to be honest.
They could. They could be the one
if they're
team
healthy.
to beat UCLA. Yep.
If they're healthy. All right. The 7-10 is an interesting game. This is the one in the bracket that I think could be an upset. And this is one of those Ivy League teams. You got Michigan State.
Harvard's got a good team.
You got Michigan State as the 7 and Harvard as the 10.
I like Michigan State here, though. They played really, really well this season. In the Big Ten, I think they take care of business here.
See, part of me wants to pick the upset here and pick Harvard in this one.
Now, I've already picked two. So
yeah. And then we end with the 2:15. That's NC State versus Vermont.
I got NC State. They're playing really, really well right now.
All right, so we got Vermont, Michigan State, or Vermont, Harvard. I mean, not Vermont. Shit. Notre Dame or NC State versus Michigan State, or NC State versus Harvard.
I got NC State going to Sweet 16, and I got LSU.
Florida State.
I got LSU. I think LSU is the team to watch in this bracket.
All right, so you picked two upsets here. You got Ball State, Grand Canyon.
I got Grand Canyon going to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
I think they make a run here.
All right. I mean, listen,
I
think Molly's a fantastic coach, and I'm not saying she can't do it. She can.
It's going to end in the Sweet 16, though.
But I've got Baylor Ole Miss, and I think that's an absolute toss-up. I'm going to go, for the sake of tonight, I think I'm going to go Ole Miss.
And on the UCLA one, I got UCLA winning, going to the Sweet 16. Yep.
Yeah, over Georgia Tech. All right. And then, John, we're going to move on to Spokane 4. This is the one that Kentucky is in. Let me get down here to it. Hang on just a minute. If I can find it. Here we go. Sorry. Trying to find it.
Uh-oh. Lost Brad. He'll be back in just a minute. But we was getting ready to do the Regional 2 Spokane region. Regional 4, I'm sorry, Spokane. You got USC and UNC Greensboro. I'm probably going to pick USC in that matchup. And California, Mississippi State. I'm probably going to pick the Bulldogs in that game to face USC.
Hang on a minute. I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with all that just then, but it kicked me out. So I had to come back. All right. So we are in Spokane 4. Is that where you're at?
Yeah, I got USC and Mississippi State winning the first two.
All right. Then we got the Lexington Memorial Coliseum region. You got Kansas State and Fairfield as the 5-12.
Yeah, I got Kansas State and Kentucky moving on.
All right. Kentucky is the 4-13 versus Liberty. And then you got 6 Iowa versus number 11 Murray State.
Well, and Iowa's only a 9.5-point favorite. So this is one of those trap games, 11-6 games. But I still think I'm going to take Iowa with their, Lucy Olson. They got a really good team. I think they can get to the Sweet 16.
All right. Then we got 3 Oklahoma versus Florida Gulf Coast.
I got Oklahoma here. I think Reagan Beers is going to be a big plus in this tournament. Her size creates a big difference in the game.
All right. Then we got 7-10 as Oklahoma State versus South Dakota State.
I think I'm going to go South Dakota State here. They've had a good year. They're a fun team to watch. Oklahoma State, I think, is only 6.5-point favorite here. Yeah, so give me the Jackrabbits.
Okay. I could see that happening there. Then we got Number 2, UConn versus 15 Arkansas State.
I got UConn. UConn's
This is
going.
Arkansas State's very first trip, I believe,
Yeah,
to the Big
it's
Dance.
and it's going to be their. It's going to be their.
It's going to be quick, probably.
It's going to be a quick trip. It's
versus
going to be a quick
UConn.
trip too. It's
Yeah,
UConn's playing really, really well right now. So
yeah.
uh,
All right, so then we got UConn and South Dakota State.
I got UConn going to Sweet 16.
All right.
I
Then we got
them playing.
Oklahoma versus Iowa. I think that's an intriguing matchup there.
And I got Iowa going to Sweet 16 for a rematch with Paige Buchers. I think that'll be a fun matchup with her
I
and
think
Lucy.
Oklahoma could beat Iowa here. I'm going to go Oklahoma on that one.
I do think they can, but I think Lucy Olson's going to have a lot to say about that.
All right, so Kansas State, Kentucky.
I got
Who
Kentucky
makes the
going to
Sweet
Sweet 16. I got Kentucky going to Sweet 16 playing Juju Watkins.
Yep, and Juju in the over
That's going to be
Mississippi State.
That's going to be fun, Brad, if that comes to fruition.
It is.
Just to see where we match up with the team.
It's going to be fun. I'm going to love to see it and everything, but at the same time, I'm kind of scared. I'm going to peek through my eyes or something because I'm like, man, that's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, that's for sure.
That's going to be tough. All right, guys. So here's what we're doing. We're going through the early rounds this week, and now we are going to move and go to the men's side of the brackets. But next week, we will go through in more detail because we are not giving a ton of detail tonight. But next week, we will have 8 matchups on the women's side, 8 matchup on the men's side, and we can kind of go into more detail and talk about the matchups.
And see where our picks was and how we did.
Yeah. And we can kind of go through the matchups a little bit more, talk about players, talk about the matchups, and give our picks. I did not go ahead and put things in here, but we're going to start in the South region. That is Auburn's region.
Yeah.
We're going to start. That is number 1 Auburn versus 16 Alabama State that just won
Auburn
tonight.
Auburn going away. Does it really matter? I mean, I don't mean that. I don't mean that disrespectfully to Alabama State, but they're going to be a huge favorite.
They got an NCAA tournament win tonight, last second.
And your reward is the Auburn Tigers that is playing not so great right now. So.
All right, so this is in Lexington, by the way. Then you got Louisville Creighton, the 8-9.
I think I'm going to go Louisville. They've won 11 straight. I think they'll get in the win column here. This is a really good Creighton team with Kalkbrenner, but I think Louisville's fans and the fact they'll be backing them in a home setting, I think Louisville wins this game.
I think this is an intriguing game, to be honest with you. All of these 8, 9, 7, 10 games are, to be honest. I think this could go either way. Creighton has won some very big games this year. Here's my thing where I wonder if Creighton can get it done. They've kind of struggled on the road. They've won big ones at home.
Yeah.
Louisville will kind of have a home crowd here.
They will. They'll have a home crowd.
So I think I'm going to take the Cards in this one. And then we got the 5-12 is Michigan, UC San Diego.
This is a tough one. You got a really good team in UC San Diego, 30-4 on the year. This could be one of the best games of the first round. When it comes to exciting styles and various styles of play. But I'm going to go Michigan here. I think they get it done. But UC San Diego ain't going to be no slouch. They can shoot.
Michigan's played good. I mean, didn't they just win the Big Ten
they did.
tournament?
They did.
But I'm going to be honest with you. The Big Ten tournament winner hadn't done great the last few years that I can remember.
No, that's true. They have not.
That I can remember anyway. So the 4-13 is Texas A&M versus Yale. Does Texas A&M finally do something?
This could be another one of those games. Yale is really, really good, Brad.
They are.
You know, they brought back a couple of guys from the team a year ago that beat Auburn in the first round. I don't think they get the upset here. Now A&M's lost what, 5 of its last 7. That's not a
Something
good recipe
like
coming into this game, but I think A&M gets her done. I think they take care of business in Denver. It won't be easy though. Yale can
Ole
score.
Miss is the 6, and they're in this play-in game. I think they're the ones tonight, right?
Yes.
In the play-in game tonight here?
Yeah, they play North Carolina.
The North Carolina game tonight?
San Diego State winner, yep.
Yeah. So which one of those do you think is coming out of that?
Well, I think as much as we don't want to say it, I think if North Carolina continues to do what they're doing right now, they're probably going to play Ole Miss, and that should be a fun, exciting game as well, you know, with guards, Ole Miss's defense, how they react to their guards. I think I'm going to pull for Ole Miss to get to the Sweet 16, but I wouldn't be shocked if North Carolina got there either.
I wouldn't be shocked. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that North Carolina doesn't have a pretty decent team and could make a little run. The point is that you can't lose all your quality games. That's the point.
You can't. That's the main issue right there, yep.
All right, so I'm going to go Ole Miss as well, but I think I could see a path that North Carolina is setting there as well in the round of 32.
Yep.
3-14 is Iowa State Lipscomb.
I got Iowa State. It's going to be interesting to see with their injuries. You know, they haven't really played well. They've been not healthy, and this is a really fun Lipscomb team. But I think I'm going to stick with my gut and pick Iowa State here. I think they win this game.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go. The 7-10 is pretty interesting. You got Marquette versus New Mexico and Richard Pitino, Dent. I mean, that New Mexico team's a good team, man.
They are, but I just think Marquette's – they got Cam Jones. I think they take care of business here. You know, Donovan Dent is really, really good for New Mexico. This should be one of those top games as well that will probably go down to the last minute bucket. So
I could see New Mexico winning this one. I really can. Would not surprise me.
It wouldn't shock me at all, no.
Michigan State, Bryant is the 2-15. You got Michigan State.
I like Michigan State here. I think they're playing really, really well right now. I just don't see probably a way Bryant wins this. If they,
I got the Spartans, man. I mean, surely they can't. I mean, I would think they would win this game, but you never know. I mean, these 2 and 15 or 15 and 16 teams are getting a lot better than they used to be.
They are.
I will say that. All right, so that would leave us with Michigan State versus Marquette or Michigan State versus New Mexico for you.
I got Michigan State on to the Sweet 16.
All right. I think that's where I was going to go as well. Then we got Iowa State versus Ole Miss.
Iowa State. I still think even not healthy, they still got Joshua Jefferson. They still got some guys that can really score and play defense. I think they're going to be going to the Sweet 16, possibly Elite 8 if they can get some guys healthy here.
Texas A&M versus Michigan or UC San Diego. I forgot which one you picked. Michigan.
I think Michigan gets the Sweet 16 here. I think they knock off Texas A&M. Texas A&M to me is just too up and down.
I think that's a pretty good possibility as well here.
I
love Buzz Williams, but here's the deal, man. He doesn't seem to get it together late in NCAA tournament time for some reason.
And the last one I got Auburn Creighton or
Louisville and Auburn at Rupp.
Now I will say I think Louisville would give them a much bigger test, I think, just because of the home factor. But I just think Auburn takes care of business and they get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I can see that as well. I think that's where we go. All right, East Region. That is Duke's region. So we got Duke versus the 16. Of course, I'm going to say both of us are saying Duke.
I'm picking Duke in that game. Yeah.
In that one. 8-9 is Mississippi State Baylor. I think that's an intriguing game.
That's one of those games you just, it's got another Big 12 SEC.
It's actually a toss-up for real.
Neither one of these teams have really played well either.
They haven't.
Go down to the wire. This is another one that's really going to be tight.
I think Mississippi State's favored by 1.5.
I got Baylor though.
Okay. Gosh, I think Baylor is probably the better team, but they just haven't played well. 5-12 is Oregon versus Liberty, and Oregon is only a 4.5-point favorite here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick Oregon here. As much as they went what? Off and on all year. Liberty's 28-6. The Flame are really good, Brad, but
they are.
It's going to be. I don't know. This is one of those that could be a toss-up, but I think I'm going to go Oregon.
The 4-12 is Arizona versus Akron. Arizona's a 13.5-point favorite.
This could be an interesting game. Arizona is really, really good when they're scoring and they're not settling for shots. If they do that against Akron, they should advance. Now, Akron likes to play up and down, fast pace. That fits what Arizona likes to do. This should be a fun game, but I still think a double-digit win for Arizona is in the cards, and I think Arizona moves on.
Yeah, I'm going to go Arizona. I also think Oregon should win, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot closer game with Liberty than a lot of people think, to be honest. The 6-11 is BYU versus Virginia Commonwealth, VCU.
Yeah, this is another interesting game. You got an offense versus defense.
BYU is a 2.5-point favorite.
I like BYU here. I think BYU's playing really well.
Kevin Young's done an awesome job here.
And BYU ain't been out of the first round since 2011. I think when they had Jimmer Fredette. So I think Kevin Young has done a really great job with this group. And I think they'll get to Sweet 16, honestly, in this pod.
Okay. Wisconsin, Montana is the 3-14.
I got Wisconsin here. I just think their offense is going to be too much.
I agree. I think it's Wisconsin.
Don't count out Money Williams. He plays for Montana. He's tough.
Yeah.
There's some names to watch in this tournament.
7 St. Mary's versus 10 Vanderbilt.
This is
St. Mary's. The Gales are a 3.5-point favorite.
This is another 7-10 game that could go either way. I don't know. I think I'm going to go St. Mary's. I think they beat Vanderbilt, and I think they play Alabama, which is Alabama's the next one. So I got Alabama over Robert Morris.
Yeah, it's Alabama and Robert Morris. Let's be honest. If Alabama can't win that one, I'm not – listen, strange things happens every once in a while. But I think we can pretty much say the Crimson Tide's going to win that one.
Yeah, they need to get Grant Nelson healthy. He's battling an injury right now. He needs to get –
All right, so – from the backwards here, Alabama and St. Mary's.
Alabama, they're going to Sweet 16.
All right. Then we got Wisconsin, BYU.
I got BYU. I think they get to the Sweet 16. I think Kevin
I
Young
think
gets
that's a
it done.
trendy pick, honestly. That's where I picked when I did my bracket earlier today. I picked BYU in this game as well. Arizona, Oregon as the 4-5.
I got Arizona. I think Caleb Love's going to lead them to the Sweet 16. I think they get back, and they might have a chance to do some damage if they can get in there with Duke. That would be a really good game again. They played them early in the year. Have another chance at them.
They did. And then Baylor and Duke played early this year too, didn't they?
I think Duke wins this game. Baylor's just too inconsistent
Or
to
could it
win.
be Mississippi State and Duke? One of the two.
Yeah. I think it's Duke. I think Baylor, Mississippi State are two inconsistent teams when it comes to trying to beat a 1 seed. They're going to have a lot go their way to win.
All right, guys. That is the East region that we are going to. Now we're going to the Midwest, which is Kentucky's region. But we're going to start out with Houston as the 1 seed. I'm going to assume that you're going Houston here.
Yeah, they're going cruise in this game. SIU Edwardsville, first tournament appearance.
Right.
Your reward is Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's the way it just goes sometimes.
Right. Now the 8-9 game in this one, I think might be the most intriguing 8-9 game. You got Gonzaga and Georgia as the 9.
I think this game is going to be a thriller. Gonzaga's 25-8. They just won their West Coast Conference. Like Georgia's had some really good wins. Watch out for Asia Newell in this game.
Florida, they beat Kentucky. I mean, they've got some good wins.
This could be a fun game, but I'm still going to take the Zags. I think they move on to play Houston.
All right. I mean, I'm taking the Zags too, but the Bulldogs could find a way to win this game, and I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah.
All right. I think this next one is intriguing as well for the 5-12. You got Clemson versus McNeese. Wade. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Will Wade went to school at Clemson.
He did. I think this is an interesting game. To me, I think Will Wade and them is just going to run out of gas here. Clemson's playing really, really well right now. But you just never know.
I can't count out the Dogs, but I like the Zags in this one.
You just never know. This is a popular upset pick too. But I still think Clemson wins. I think it'll be tight. But they move on.
Yeah. I'm going to take Clemson as well in this game. But I think McNeese is a good team, and Will Wade is a great coach. I know Indiana hired their coach today, but I'm going to tell you right now, Will Wade was the guy to call. I'm just saying. Purdue High Point is the 4-13.
This is another popular upset pick. High Point can really, really score.
Purdue's only favored by 6.5.
Yeah, it's low. I think I'm going to go upset here. I think I'm going to go High Point. Purdue has kind of been off and on the last couple of weeks. Wouldn't be shocked here if High Point won this game.
Interesting, to be quite honest. I'm going to go Purdue. I mean, as good as they've been with Braden Smith, I mean, you can't get beat by High Point in the first round. I mean, come on now. Illinois is the 6th seed. They got the play-in game. John, I think this is the Xavier, Texas play-in game.
Well, if history tells us anything, a first 4 usually they've always made runs. These 11 seeds. Now I see
at least one of them has. Yep,
I see one of them in Illinois, but the other two, I don't think Texas and Xavier can beat Illinois, but that's just me. I think Illinois moves on into the second round.
High Point seems to be the trendy pick here.
Yeah.
All right. What'd you say about Illinois?
Oh, I said they'll move on in the second round. I think they're a trendy pick right now.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a part of me that wants to take Texas out of that.
Yeah, but Texas sometimes gets lackadaisical on offense. Their defense is really good, but it sometimes becomes Trey Johnson
But there is. I said there's a part of me that says that. But man, Illinois really has a good team if they can just put it together and stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, never know, it could happen.
That's been their problem, really.
And Xavier,
Kentucky, Troy.
Xavier's probably going to have a home crowd tomorrow night in the first four at Dayton. They're probably going to have the crowd.
Yeah, they will.
Texas against them.
Oh, they will at Dayton for sure. I'd say 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they will.
I got Kentucky.
Kentucky.
There's a couple of games I watched this year from Troy. They just seemed out of sorts against the Power Four schools. I don't think that's going to be any different unless Troy hits a bunch of shots out of their tail. Like a Jack Goke.
I like Texas beating Xavier as well, Clyde.
Unless a Jack Goke comes off the bench and just shoots for like 80% from three, I think Kentucky wins this game.
Why does Kentucky fans give this guy any pub? Why is Kentucky sites talking about this dude today? Why? Why are we giving this dude any pub? Why? Because I'm not. I will never say this dude's name. You will never see anything he says. I don't care. He's irrelevant.
He made a post about Kentucky, and that was probably why.
He's irrelevant. He's irrelevant.
Yeah, we'll play Illinois in the second round. That's who we'll play.
All right. UCLA, Utah State is the 7-10 in this one.
I like UCLA here. Utah State sometimes gets hit and miss. So give me the Bruins.
I'm going UCLA, and then Tennessee, Wofford. I got Tennessee.
I got Tennessee moving on.
In the 2-15. So then that puts us at Tennessee, UCLA, 2-7.
I got Tennessee in the Sweet 16.
I do as well. Kentucky, Illinois, 3-6.
I got Kentucky. I think this bracket sets up good for them. I think they'll make Tennessee.
Well, I think Kentucky can make the Sweet 16. That would be one hell of a matchup. I said last night, I looked it up. It's never happened. Kentucky, Tennessee has played 242 times. They have never played in the NCAA tournament with everything on the line.
Ever.
Ever. So if it happens, it'll be one huge game for the fan bases. All right, so we've got Clemson High Point or Clemson Purdue.
Clemson. I think Clemson gets to Sweet 16.
I got Clemson as well. That's who I picked was Clemson out of that. And then we got Houston Gonzaga. I think that's an interesting matchup for a 1-8.
It's almost to the point where I would like to pick Gonzaga. But I've seen Gonzaga kind of have games where they don't look great, and then they look great for 2 or 3 games. I just trust Houston's defense in this game more than I do Gonzaga's offense. I think Houston's defense makes a difference, and I think they get to the Sweet 16.
I'm going to be honest with you. Out of all the 1 seeds, I think this is going to be the hardest second-round game.
Yeah, I think so.
I really do. I think that it would not surprise me if Mark Few and the Zags find a way to beat Houston here. Now, I'm going to pick Houston, okay? They're the 1 seed. I'm going to pick Houston. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, this Zags team has one hell of an offense, and they got the center. If he comes to play, I'm telling you, he's tough for the Zags.
Graham Ike. Yep.
Graham Ike. He is tough if he comes to play. And I think that could be a potential big upset in this tournament.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, so the last region we're going to get to is the West region. And let me scroll and get to it here. The West region is Florida's region. Florida, Norfolk State is the first game. Of course, I think everybody's going to say Florida. The way they've been playing. The 8-9 here's kind of intriguing as well. You got UConn, Oklahoma as the
still
8-9.
UConn. I think Oklahoma will pose some difficulties with Jeremiah Fears, but I ultimately think UConn will win this game by about
UConn's favored by 5.5. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm a betting man, I think I'm gonna bet Oklahoma at 5.5 on this game.
But I still think Oklahoma moves on.
But UConn could win.
Yeah.
All right, the
Memphis.
5-12. Memphis, Colorado State.
I got Memphis. I think Memphis takes care of business here.
Let me tell you something that's shocking about this game. Colorado State's favored by 1.5.
Yep, 1.5. Yeah.
The 5-12. Colorado State is favored in Vegas by 1.5. That's pretty shocking, John. Do you not think so?
Well, some of it has to do with Hunter being out. They lost one of their star players too, Memphis, in the AAC tournament. So they might be without Hunter in this game, Tyrese Hunter.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, maybe that's why.
Maybe he gets back.
I'm going to go Memphis in this one, but Vegas doesn't seem to think Memphis is going to win this game.
And the other game
is Maryland versus Grand Canyon.
I got Maryland. They're playing
Maryland's
really
a 10.5-point favorite. Clyde says he's got Colorado State.
I got Maryland.
All right, the 6-11. Now, this game is really intriguing to me. Missouri, Drake.
I think I'm going to go Drake. I think
as good as Missouri's played, I'm telling you that Drake team is good, man.
They are. I think I'm going to take Drake here.
Missouri is favored by 6.5, it looks like. But that Drake team is dangerous. I'm going to go Missouri, but it would not surprise me if Drake pulls the upset here.
It wouldn't me either.
3-14 is Texas Tech, UNC Wilmington.
I think I'm going to take Texas Tech. They're playing really well right now. JT Toppin, they're doing some good things this year.
Second team All-American today for JT Toppin. Congrats to him. Yep. That's Jacob Toppin's little brother. So congrats to him, man, to be like he played for Richard Pitino in New Mexico last year as well. So several ties there. I'm going Texas Tech. And then I guess the game of the night for Kentucky fans is number 7 Kansas versus 10 Arkansas.
That's the – and you know what's crazy is that is the primetime game on Thursday night.
It is.
At 17.
It's the CBS primetime game. Yep.
And Kentucky fans are probably thinking, can one of them lose? Can both lose?
Yeah. Kansas is favored by 4.5. You got Bill Self versus John Calipari, and they probably will match up versus Rick Pitino in the second round. You got three Hall of Fame coaches. 3 in that 4-team bracket.
Here's the thing about Arkansas.
Pretty amazing bracket.
When they turn it on, they can play really, really well. But I don't know how Boogie Flan is going to do with the kind of added in with this team.
I'm going to be honest with you, John. I think if it was me, I think it's just going to mess with the team chemistry. They've been playing so much better the last 3 or 4 weeks, Arkansas has. If it was me, I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't even play Boogie Flan. I wouldn't mess up my team before March. I wouldn't.
I think I'm going to go Kansas. I think Kansas wins, though. Their experience in the tournament the last couple of years, I think they take care of business here. And then St. John's, I think, Omaha, they're probably not going to win this. They're not. Rick Pitino and
St. John's, Omaha. I'm going Rick Pitino in the bottom one, St. John's.
They're playing
I'm going to go Kansas as well. And it's not – I just feel like that if Calipari beat – like, I think Kansas fans are going to go after his head if Self gets beat in this game by Calipari in the first game. After the season they've had and was preseason number 1, I got to go Kansas here. I mean –
they're playing for a little bit more, I think.
Hunter Dickinson, I mean, this is it. Like a few of those players. Harris, isn't that his last name? The guard?
Yeah, DeJuan Harris, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it should mean a little more to Kansas.
Yeah. And then you
I get it, but I'm going to be honest with you, man. I think it's going to mess up team chemistry. I don't like it. I wouldn't do it if it was me. All right, so then we got St. John's versus Kansas, or St. John's Calipari. Who do you think comes out of that?
Probably Rick Pitino. I think he's going to the Sweet 16.
Is Rick Pitino going to be around my entire life?
Yeah.
Does the man ever go away? Like, seriously.
But he always wins, Brad.
I mean,
to me, he's the best.
It just blows my mind.
He's the GOAT, Brad. He can win.
Is this 1988? I mean, what the hell's going on around here?
I mean, he just wins, Brad. He just wins, man.
God, y'all just don't know. I mean, I'm going St. John's, but I don't like it. All right, Texas Tech, Missouri, or Texas Tech, Drake?
I got Texas Tech going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
And I probably got Maryland. And I probably got Maryland going to the Sweet 16 too. I think Maryland.
I got Texas Tech, Maryland, Memphis, or Maryland, Colorado State.
I got Maryland. I think they're a little bit better.
Going Maryland.
Yep.
And does UConn have a chance against Florida?
It's doable. But if there's one game,
does Oklahoma have a chance against Florida if they're there?
I think UConn has more of a chance against Florida than Oklahoma does.
That's what I would say. That's what.
But I will say this: in a one game off, Dan Hurley can do it, man. I've seen him.
Listen, Dan
I've seen him do it.
Hurley has won 12 consecutive NCAA tournament games in a row. Back-to-back titles. It takes 6 to get there. So he has won 12 NCAA tournament games in a row, consecutive. The streak is still on. Now, if he gets to Florida, that'll be 13. He'll be going for 14 consecutive NCAA tournament wins against this number one Florida team.
I don't think he'll do it, but I wouldn't put it past him to try to win it, because he's going to give it all.
I'm just saying, he's the best effing coach in the sport. Oh, man, I had to say it. Especially since everybody's saying Ricky P's the GOAT. Listen, Ricky P may have been the best in the last 40 years, okay? But I don't know if he's the GOAT. This whole GOAT thing is gotten way out of hand. He's the best of his era, but I don't think he's the GOAT. I mean, there was somebody by the name of John Wooden that won 10 out of 12 titles or something from like 1966 to 1975. There was a guy by the name of Adolph Rupp. I mean, maybe you guys have heard of him. I'm not real sure. I mean, there's a guy by the name of Coach K. I mean, come on. There's, this whole GOAT thing. I don't know. Yeah. I can't go there. All right.
We got to close the show, Brad. You're getting off.
I'm just saying. I can't go there. All right, guys. That is going to wrap up the early rounds. What we will do for next week, we will do a Tuesday night show again. For next week, we will discuss the Sweet 16 games. We will do both the men's and the women's, kind of digging in.
And we'll probably do the men's and women's Kentucky Monday night. Granted,
we will. On Monday night, we will do a Big Blue Hoops cast, and we will do one no matter what happens this weekend. And kind of, if it's hopefully it's not a finish up the season type deal, and both teams are still playing. That's the goal. But we will do one next Monday night and do a Big Blue Hoops cast. So Monday and Tuesday will be our next shows. But for the Tuesday show, we will kind of go through each game in the Sweet 16 on both brackets, men's and women's, and give our picks all the way to the Final Four. We will go ahead next week and give our Final Four picks.
Kentucky, please win. I don't want to have to hear Brad on Monday night.
Both of you, men's and women's.
Yes, because I don't want to hear you.
I
don't want to hear your mouth on Monday night.
Yes, absolutely. But next week we'll talk about the Sweet 16. We will discuss the Elite Eight games, and we will pick our Final Four predictions next week here at College SportsCast on both the men's and the women's brackets.
Yeah, because Friday and Thursday, there's just so many games and there's a lot happening.
Yeah, and we're going to enjoy the games just like everybody else and have a little bit of fun and enjoy the games. So we're going to do Monday and Tuesday this week, Monday and Tuesday next week. And then the next week, will do.
That's like saying he's going to jump from the Packers to the 49ers. That ain't happening. He's saying he will jump to Tennessee, Brad will.
He knows better than that. I
said that'd be like going from the Packers to the 49ers in like a week.
He knows better than that. Uh-huh. He knows way, way more than that. I'm telling you. All right. So that's what's going to happen, guys. I appreciate you guys being with us tonight. We appreciate you being here. Hope you guys enjoy March Madness. I'm going to tell you, for me, I've had a struggle the last few years, especially with Kentucky struggling. The girls haven't even been in the tournament the last 2 years. The last fun thing I remember was Ryan Howard beating South Carolina in the SEC tournament in 2022. That's the last fun thing, and that was in the SEC tournament. They fizzled out and lost a game that they shouldn't have lost after that in March Madness. There's really not been much to cheer about as a big Blue fan. That's why I'm saying I want both teams to still be playing in the second weekend here. It'll be a fun time, and I want to enjoy March Madness. It's one of my favorite things in the world, and I'm looking forward to it. By the way, I will be covering the women's games this weekend for the University of Kentucky women's team. I will be at Memorial Coliseum to cover the games in the NCAA tournament. I'm looking forward to that and having a blast. So that's part of the reason why I'm saying I'm going to enjoy the games, is because I'm going to be there for the women's bracket at Memorial. Yeah, Jerry. I see you. I appreciate you guys being with us, man. Clyde, Jerry, Shane was with us for a while. I appreciate everybody being here. And y'all have a good week, a good weekend. Enjoy March Madness. And let's get together on Monday night and celebrate.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good one.
Can I please have your attention? What's all the commotion around here?
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.